Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Klis's Mic Drop. This would be the NFL Combine edition of Mic Drop. And boy, what a day it was Tuesday at the Indianapolis Convention Center, where both Broncos head coach Sean Payton and general manager George Paton addressed the press, dealt with a lot of issues confronting the Broncos as they head into another offseason, a better offseason this year than last year. Last year, they had to find a quarterback, and actually the previous 9 years they've been trying to find a quarterback. Now, for the first time, and let's call it since 2015, when Peyton Manning retired 10 years ago, the Broncos are not searching for the next quarterback. They have Bo Nix, and so what does that mean for the Broncos? We talked to Sean Payton. Among the topics he discussed were expectations for this Bronco team in 2025 after making the playoffs last year at 10-7 and their rookie quarterback Nix going into year two. He had an interesting response.
Yeah, I think the one thing we have to avoid is this idea we're going to pick up where we left off. I really don't like that because our league has shown anymore, the season ends and you kind of take the proverbial game board and you take all the pieces and dump them and then you set it back up and you start again. Certainly you're more confident. The experience has helped a number of players. But, the journey begins. So we've got, and we don't shy away from it, our expectations are high, and I'm encouraged with some of the things that we did this past season, and yet still kind of hungry for more.
So in this podcast, we're going to give you the highlights of what happened during this the press conference with Sean Payton and George Paton. Here are some of the highlights. One of the other topics they discussed was the AFC West cradle of coaches. Boy, all four of them, from top to bottom, have Hall of Fame caliber coaches. You got the king of the division, Andy Reid. They've won it 9 years in a row. He's going to be 67 in 3 weeks. You got Pete Carroll, who came in at 73 years old. He'll turn 74 1 week into the regular season. Jim Harbaugh of the Chargers, he's 6 days older than Sean Payton. And so Sean Payton is, he let us know where he ranks among the AFC West coaches.
I'm the youngest. Thanks, Pete. No, listen, we've had so many good games and battles. When he was at Seattle, Andy and Harb, Jim, sometimes it's coincidence, but there's without a doubt, that your division opponent is going to be extremely well coached. And that's just proof in the pudding with all three of those guys.
So Sean Payton had an interesting start to the NFL Combine. On Monday night, he visited the Indianapolis Pacers Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Nuggets were the visitors. So that was a nice coincidence for the Broncos and the Nuggets. Sean Payton was able to visit with Michael Malone for the first time on the court, and Michael Malone offered his services to Payton for the upcoming draft.
We'll allow him to assist us in the draft if we can work with Jokic in that joker role, because I was getting interviewed about him being a quarterback, and I was just looking like, no, he's the perfect tight end. It was exciting for me to meet Mike. It was the first time I'd ever, our schedules are different. Joe Lombardi lives kind of on the same block, so I've heard a lot of good stories. He's the son of a coach. We're similar in age. He's a bit younger, but you could, you watch his teams play and you can see his passion. So it was good to finally meet him last night, and it was good they played well.
As Sean Payton was speaking at the Combine press conference on Tuesday, Bo Nix was celebrating his 25th birthday, and Sean Payton was made aware of it, but he had an interesting way of communicating with his quarterback.
Sean, today's Bo Nix's birthday.
I saw that.
I'm wondering.
I'm not going to wish him any happy birthday on there.
How often do you talk to him over the offseason?
I sent him a text.
Well, it's obvious by now that Sean Payton's priority this offseason is he wants a joker. and not Nikola Jokic. He's wanting a joker in football. It is either a running back or a tight end with elite receiving skills. He had one in Reggie Bush and Alvin Kamara. Those are running backs that the Saints had in his previous head coaching tenure. He also had tight ends Jeremy Shockey and Jimmy Graham. So one of those two are the joker. George Paton is feeling the stress of of meeting Sean Payton's needs with that joker position.
I know we're searching for the joker. It's kind of like the Loch Ness Monster, trying to find a goddamn joker. But I've played Sean's teams that had them, and they're hell. So, yeah, a lot of different backs. I think it's a good year to maybe, go get a back because there's so many. But.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It seemed like George Paton was telling us last year about the need for a tight end who can stretch the field. We had a chance to sit down with George Paton exclusively with 9 News right after his press conference on Tuesday at the Indianapolis Convention Center.
George, last year at this time, I remember asking you what you really wanted as a need. Maybe that was an owners' meetings, and you said, we really need a tight end who can stretch the field. Now, a year later, that's one of the priorities again. I mean, it's one thing to say that's a priority for you. You need that tight end who can run. It's another thing to find one.
Well, we need explosive element to our offense, whether it's a tight end, a runner, maybe another receiver. To be fair with our tight ends, we like the group, but would we like to add that explosive element? Certainly.
How do you look at this draft? A lot of people say running back is good, defensive line is cool.
Yeah, running backs is strong. I think kind of depends on the flavor you're looking for. I think second through fourth round, you can get a runner. And then a defensive line, we met with 12 B linemen last night, all the top 3 round grades. So it's pretty unique to have that many B linemen.
Do you have to get things resolved with Cortland Sutton in order to kind of start on the jigsaw puzzle that is your 53?
Like I said, we love Court. We've got a year left in his deal. We got other players that have a year left in their deal, and so we'll talk to his people at the right time. We'll talk to them down here. We'd love to keep Cortland the long term, and we'll see how it works.
This is true in baseball. I'm not so sure it's true in football, but people with big rookie years like Bo had. Mm-hmm. The second year, the league kind of adjusts to them.
Yeah.
They get more film on them. They set up different strategy. What is the key to avoid that sophomore jinx type?
Well, just him having another really good offseason. Now he gets a full offseason. Last year he was working on the combine and then pro days, and so you get the full offseason is really important for these guys, and especially important to the quarterbacks, and then just continue to build around them. It's not all that. Like, we need to get better around Bo, whether it's defense, whether it's offense, whether it's special teams. So that's really important.
It's always a challenge. Your challenge the last couple of years was to get to the playoffs. Now you're there. That next step can be just as difficult.
I think it's harder. Yeah, because if you don't watch it and you start believing the press split things, you get in place. I know Sean won't let that happen, but it's harder to get back, and I think it is to get there.
The dead cap, you took the bulk of Russell Wilson last year. You still have a portion this year.
I just had to bring that up.
Well, it's still there.
Okay.
Next year we won't talk.
We have enough.
Yeah.
Now I was going to say, I'm in the clear.
Yeah, you're in the clear.
So how is it with you guys? You got to, you showed last year, you don't need a whole lot to get good players.
Yeah, I mean, it's daunting. I mean, you can manipulate the cap any way you want. We're going to continue to be measured like last year. Doesn't mean you don't go sign a big ticket item, but typically you want to be measured in free agency. It's hard to go buy a team, especially, what we're building here.
So again, this combine, it's interesting. The Broncos get themselves in front of these top prospects, the guys they're going to consider with that number 20 overall pick. They're also going to meet with agents of some key free agents. Again, the priorities for the Broncos this year, not a quarterback for the first time in a decade. It's running back. It's a tight end that can stretch the field. It's an inside linebacker, and their fourth position is a safety. So right up the middle is key for Sean Payton and the 2025 Broncos. George Paton also added something that I thought was interesting at that number 20 pick. By the time they pick at 20, he wants The hope is that they have 4 players that they would consider taking at number 20. 4 players that will still be there, and they'll pick one of those 4. That's ideal. He also said he thinks the caliber of player at number 10 is roughly going to be the same as the player at number 20. In other words, they're all kind of in the same skill set, same type of talent. You've got the top 10, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders are going to be in that top 10. But then once it gets to 10, that's all kind of the same type of good quality player, but maybe not a great quality player. So I wouldn't look for the Broncos to move up too much from number 20, if that's what you're thinking. So that's it from the Combine. The Broncos visited with defensive linemen first on the first day. They'll meet with running backs. They'll meet with tight ends. They're going to have 60 visits all told here at the Combine. They should have a pretty good idea of what to do with that number 20 pick and how to proceed in free agency once that starts with the negotiating period on Monday, March 10th. Exciting times really for the Broncos. They're a good team again. They're a good team trying to be a great team. Can they make that leap from a playoff caliber team, one of the top 14, to perhaps a Final Four team in 2025? Then they get rid of all their salary cap problems with Russell Wilson and make a run for the Super Bowl in 2026. That's kind of the pie in the sky scenario for the Denver Broncos. But thank you for listening and watching here from the NFL Combine on Klis's Mic Drop, and we'll see you again next week.